Fantasy Football Show.
Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
And it's the end of Game Week 23. 24 is here. Double Game Week, triple captainship.
Ain't you sick of talking about it?
I don't know. I just want to press the trigger on one of those green buttons or whatever they are on the
Let's
on the
save
game.
you from thinking this might be an hour and a half on Liverpool, because it won't. Pick the guy you want and get on with it. That's the analysis. There is analysis you can find that will tell you to go to Firmino. There's analysis you can find will tell you to go to Trent, to Salah, to Mane, to VVD. And the highest scoring player will probably be Wijnaldum.
Alisson.
Pick the one you want.
Indeed.
And don't be scared to use a triple captainship. Most people will. That's it.
How was your game week?
Useless. I thought we was going to talk about Liverpool for an hour and a half, so I could avoid that.
Nah, Liverpool are done. Champions of England. How was your game week?
41 points, -4 for a drop in rank of about another 90,000 to 482,000. This season is going absolutely nowhere for myself. I decided, following the final plan recorded on Friday, having already gone Ramsdale to Alex McCarthy. That was the first bad start because the fella started and got a 3-pointer and McCarthy got a 1-pointer. I decided to, with the Marcus Rashford injury news breaking that he would almost certainly miss the game against Liverpool on Sunday, to take a -4 to enable me to not have Wilfried Zaha come off the bench against Manchester City and get an inevitable last-minute injury time assist. And having seen enough of Burnley lately, decided I would fire in James Maddison and go for it. That -4 didn't really work out, so I've already taken another one for next week. But I did say I'd be more aggressive. You win some, you lose some.
Oh, there's only 20 points between us now. And had Traore not come in off the bench, if Rashford had picked up a 1-pointer that I was really praying for, there'd only be 10 points or 11 points. Tighter than a duck's arse, as they'd say. 41 points. I had a better week. Still not great, but I had a 110k rise in rank up to 725k, floating in that 500 to 800 bracket for now. 53 points, no hits, and reasonably week was saved by Wolves. People that will listen will know that I said that I was going to sell Jimenez for Danny Ings. Didn't do it.
Yeah, I know. I tweeted Saturday afternoon. I think it was Wolves had just gone 3-2 up, and I was like, oh my God, I wonder if Suj took the -4 to remove Jimenez for Ings. Completely forgetting that I could have just logged into the mini league and checked for myself.
I asked myself, so on Saturday morning I made the McCarthy transfer as well, got my goalkeeper in. And then I asked myself the same question that you asked me on the pod. Did I think that Danny Ings would outscore Jimenez by more than 5 points or whatever it was? I was like, nah, doesn't make sense. No. So just left it in the end. I thought, you know what, it doesn't make sense. And in the end, Danny Ings blanked and Jimenez picked him up a nice 13-point return, and Traore got one of his once in a month double-digit returns. But more points from the Liverpool defence, a 10-pointer from Trent, 6 points from Robertson, and a cheeky Neil Maupay assist and a yellow card to take the shine off it. But a cheeky Maupay assist. So it was reasonable 53 points. I was fairly happy with that, making progress considering the game week. And Maupay's now potentially on the chopping block for Ings, and Jimenez, he's sticking around for a little while. Probably.
Rightly so. Raul Jimenez is about 115 FPL points now. Same price as the start of the season.
Doing all right?
Yeah, of course he is, mate. It's interesting. There's a few forwards who are back at their starting price who, points-wise, have done it. I mean, Timu Puki's another one, isn't he? I know it was rage and at the start. But in terms of, if you'd have said start the season as a set and forget, Timu Puki, 6.5, like you'd have been happy with his returns on that value. Calvert-Lewin's back at 6 million now. He's another one who, certainly in recent weeks, falls back into that bracket. It's just interesting that there's a few forwards floating at that area who are doing all right and all are still at the same price. Mainly because of people like Ings Rashford,
Vardy, who've really shot up in value.
Aubameyang is going to be back available for game week 25 at probably 10.7, I would have thought, and at probably well under 15% ownership. That's the sort of one I think once Vardy gets beyond West Ham this week is one that I'll be having a good think about.
So yeah, there we go. Into double game week 24 we go. Strange double game week because the fixtures are midweek over 3 days, starting tomorrow. So anybody listening, like literally, you've got 24 hours to digest this pod as best you can before making your double game week 24 transfers. We've got another show coming out partway through the double game week before the Liverpool games. We're recording before both the Liverpool games.
We'll release on
which
Friday.
Again is a midweek game. So yeah, it's going to be a funny double game week. It's not nice and neat and tidy where all the games are over a 5 or 6 day period, and they're all midweek. So bonkers, must be bonkers. But let's get into some of these games and talk about what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, and what we need to take into consideration for
anything
FPL.
Anything you want to cover before we go into games? And you can say no if you want.
The answer is yes.
Go on then.
I nearly forgot, James.
I don't forgot. It's that all we've talked about all day behind the scenes.
Thinking about it. So both of us, the two Cockneys in Manchester. That's what we're going to call the show.
It's
two
happening.
Cockneys in Manchester. We've confirmed with the venue that it's happening. We're 99.9% confirmed with the venue that it's happening. So the 22nd of February, 22/02/2020. All the twos and all the zeros. We're going to be in Manchester for the first ever Planet FPL Live outside of London.
On
Exciting
tour,
times.
baby.
Yes. Super excited for that day because the games are decent that day. And there's a lot of other stuff going on as well. So we're going to be at Shack Bar and Grill, which is in M4 High Street. Is the address 64 High Street, Manchester M4, something. If you Google it, you'll find it. We will have Chelsea Spurs at 12:30. Just some mingling and drinks and casual, kind of FPL meet-up stuff going on. Followed by a live show between 3 and 5. So we've got a few plans of what we're going to do. Hopefully getting some guests in. Hopefully getting a bit of fun and games involved as well. More to follow on that. And then we'll all be congregating and watching Leicester versus Manchester City at the 5:30 kickoff. At which point, depending on how drunk you are, go left, go right, get a kebab, go home, do what you want to. But come and join us in Manchester.
If you're really brave, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is about 4 a.m.
Yes, that's going to be a long one.
If you want to go for a good 17 hour.
Yeah. James and I are trying to save money with no hotel. So any of you want to put us up on your floors? Nah, maybe. We'll see. There's Six Nations rugby on that day. There's a lot of sport on that day, so it's going to be a really good day. A lot of the pubs are saying that they're so packed they can't even accommodate us, but we found one that will. So we're looking forward to it. More details to follow, tickets and all the rest of it. We are charging a little bit because there's a lot of trains and speakers and hotels and all that kind of stuff. But any money that's left over is just going to get drunk behind the bar for everybody as well. But we're talking pounds, not tens of pounds anyway. So
No, it won't be
exactly.
a lot. To be honest, it's to cover our costs. We ain't going to be making no money on this, I can tell you.
So there we go. Do stay tuned. Bury it. Just whack it in the diary now. 22nd. You don't have to turn up at 12:30 and stay till 8. Drop in, drop out. Our main show is going to be 3 till 5. But we want to see as many of the FPL community out as we can. So that's why we're taking it up north for a change.
One of the reasons we'll have to do tickets as well is capacity-wise, just in case 300 of you decide to turn up, which I'm sure won't happen, but if it did, it would be a massive problem.
Yes.
So, do buy your tickets.
Indeed. Good. Now shall we talk about the games?
Let's talk about the games.
Starting with the early kickoff,
Yay!
which conveniently is Watford
Can't
0,
wait.
Spurs 0. Dini.
You love him, didn't you? It's a shit penalty.
It was a poor penalty. I think there was talk on the radio about how his penalty in the FA Cup last year was garbage and he's not the best penalty taker out there. He's missed quite a few. However, all in all, I thought Watford played well, but you take the clean sheet and you'll be happy going away from there with a clean sheet and a point. But you weren't before the game.
I'm happy with that. I mean, I sat here last week and Tottenham and said it's got draw written all over it. And the game played out very much that way. This is the scary thing on Spurs. Like, that was our best away performance in the last 4. And we were shit.
Really? It was but rubbish.
I thought first 13 minutes we controlled the game well. I counted them. There was no direct football. We played football. We didn't open them up, but we played football.
13 or 30?
13, 1-3.
Okay.
Unlucky for some.
Yep.
Watford had spells of domination, particularly sort of around about the hour mark with Decore had a couple of half chances, and obviously the big chance with the penalty. Obviously, look, we could have nicked it at the end with the Lamella's effort, which was off the line by 10 millimetres by your guy whose name I've forgotten with his first ever kick for Watford. Fair game to the lad. Just briefly on FPL, we spoke last week on Decore versus Sarr.
Yep.
I think that argument's now probably pretty clear with Ismail Sarr suspected hamstring injury. I don't know if it's a bad one or not, but if you were looking to go Watford that way, I think it's obvious to go Decore now.
Ben Foster, consideration at 4.9.
Highest goalkeeper in the game now.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Where did that come from? Incredible. 4.9. For those who had Fabianski and went cheaper, maybe Ben Foster was the hidden gem in amongst there.
Still was a bit expensive for me, 4.9. It's one of them where I look at them.
For the highest scoring goalkeeper.
No, but just look at them. I think if I wanted
and
to
most of those have come in the last.
If I wanted to go into them,
3 months.
I'd still be looking at sort of like Cathcart at like 4.3, I think, if I wanted to go defensively. Whereas at that value, I mean, you can't argue him being the top scoring goalkeeper.
No.
But I'd probably look at something that's a little bit more secure longer term. But man, can't argue with it if that's what you want to go for. On Spurs, because I'm getting a lot of questions. There's a lot of people who want to go into Spurs now. We'll talk about Marcus Rashford in a bit, but shift those funds to, downgrade to your forward, midfielder up to Son, or just any way you want to play it. There feels an urgency to go for Spurs because it's Norwich this week, and I think it is specifically that. It's not a Spurs thing, it's I want to go and target Norwich.
Yep.
I've decided I'm not going to. On the 3 players that you might be considering from an attacking aspect, I feel that Spurs are slowly moving towards a 4-3-3 formation with Mourinho, which may see Dele Alli in a more withdrawn position like he was at the weekend. Dele Alli is an absolute no-consider. I think Lucas Moura is an interesting option because he is the one that's playing up front at the moment, but you don't feel like, you don't feel like he's going to really get the returns, but he offers some value in there at 7.1. I think he is, Lucas, playing out of position for top half side. I can see the appeal there. I think because there's almost nothing to lose as much with the value, I'd be more inclined to go that way than Son. On Son, I have real concerns. Now, Heung-min Son is well capable of rocking up Wednesday night and scoring a hat-trick because that's the sort of thing he's capable of when he has a good night. He's got a major issue at the moment with what's behind him left back, and he's going forward as well. The reason for that is, and this got very, very missed, and I'll talk about it more on Tottenham tomorrow. When Ben Davies is back fit, Ben Davies 100% will be first choice left back. Mourinho wants to play a system where the left back essentially becomes a left-sided centre-half, and right full-back, as you've seen so often with Aurier, pushes on, so it almost converts into a 3-5-2 if you want, cut a long story short. That means Son's got no support on the flank in terms of overlap, sort of inside runs. So it's very easy at the moment for people to double up on Sonny. He's still very capable, but it's limiting his options in terms of his link play. And he just doesn't appeal for me right now. Bottom line. Yeah, of course, it's Norwich at home in a week. Yeah, he could absolutely return. People looking further ahead and going, City, as I said a couple of weeks ago, scored 3 times against them last year. Then it's Villa away. You feel like there's a little block you can take a gamble. If you've got no issues, by all means, take the gamble. I'm warning you that Son at the moment is not getting into the positions where he's going to cause enough of a threat. But he's capable.
I'm not looking at any Spurs assets right now.
I can't see me going near them.
Yeah. Well, you have to go near them. You have to go there every other week, mate.
Tell me about it. And I'll be there Wednesday night. And I'll be at Southampton on Saturday. It's now 3 league games without a goal, which is massively concerning. I don't really care if we were playing Liverpool 3 times in those 3 fixtures. It's not good enough creativity-wise. It's just not there. Little note on Jedson Fernandez. Not likely to be an immediate starter. Looks like Mourinho will favour him on the right of a midfield in a 4-3-3, I would have thought. So although at a very cheap price of 5 million in FPL, not a consideration.
No. The other side of North London, Arsenal 1, Sheffield United 1. A goal for Martinelli with the assist from Saka. Interesting the way Arsenal lined up in terms of the fullbacks being Saka and Maitland-Niles, who are attacking fullbacks, really. So with the team...
They're both midfield players, aren't they?
Yeah, really. With a team like Sheffield United that like to attack with width when they've overlapping their centre-backs, to have non-natural defenders as your fullbacks was probably quite brave, you'd say.
I think Martinelli and Pepe worked
Tucked
back,
in
and obviously
and
will
what have you.
try and push those Sheffield United wing backs into deeper positions as well. That's the best way to counter Sheffield United's overloads, is to try and overload back at them.
Get them to sit back a little bit. I saw a brief... I didn't watch any Arsenal fan TV except one video that was served to me by YouTube, which was Troops after the game, and it was interesting. I only watched the first minute, let's say, and he said something that made me think, oh, that's exactly the same kind of thing that's going on with West Ham at the moment. Is that great that the work rate's gone up, but the quality's still lacking severely. So Arteta's come in and he's solved certain things, and they are definitely working harder and putting a shift in, but that can't disguise the lack of quality in certain areas. And looking at some match reports and stuff, you could say that Sheffield United might have deserved to win, to be honest with you. Even Troop said that Sheffield United should have won.
And yet Chris Wilder said they weren't at their best again, which is really interesting. I think he was pleased.
Maybe he's trolling Arsenal.
It's not difficult. I think he was pleased with the way they started the game and the way they finished the game. Arsenal will still remain locked in an Aubameyang or no one for me. Obviously, he'll be suspended for the fixture at Chelsea tomorrow night, then returns to Burnley away, Newcastle at home, Everton at home. And it really does interest me when Vardy's walking into three difficult fixtures of Chelsea, Wolves, Man City himself.
I mean, we'll talk about Leicester when we get to them, but the steam seems to have come out of their momentum, their engine a little.
Yes, we certainly will talk about them. On Sheffield United, I guess the big call for everybody, do you or do you not start John Lundstram against Manchester City? There is a held belief within the Sheffield United supporters at the moment that his performances have dipped, and Mo Besic probably deserves a chance. That chance may well come in the Manchester City fixture tomorrow night rather than their FA Cup fixture at Millwall at the weekend. So wouldn't be surprised too much if Lundstram doesn't start tomorrow night. I suspect he probably will. I also, however, will not be starting him in that fixture in spite of Manchester City and their reckless moments defensively. I just don't fancy it. John Fleck continues to impress. Now 5 million, 84 FPL points this season is a brilliant return at that value. And if you're looking for someone in and around that Fleck Cantwell value, Cantwell's now walking into very difficult fixtures. I like Fleck.
Fleck's a different option. I've had him in my North team, like I said, for a couple of weeks. And if you look at his FPL points as well, they're so heavily loaded in the second half of what's been of the season so far compared to the first half. So I feel like he's grown into the Premier League a little bit. And the thing with Cantwell is you feel all right benching him. If I own Fleck, I'd buy him to play him week in, week out because he's breaking into the box, regardless of opposition. I feel like Fleck, he's an enabler that you can play and then frees up so much money elsewhere. I actually think I'd play
Fleck. Probably
Fleck.
One of them depends what your defensive options have got. So, if you've got...
The likes of Kelly and Rico are no longer the dream cheap enablers that they were.
What I'm saying, say you've got double Sheffield United defensive, for example, Sheffield United walk into a really good run of fixtures beyond this Man City game tomorrow night, and you're going to want, if you've got their defensive assets, you're going to play them. So there might be fixtures where there's more in terms of ceiling from defensive guys, possibly in other teams as well. So I think it would be circumstantial whether you did or you didn't start him. It's not at 5 million. It's not someone you've got to be playing. It would depend on what you've got elsewhere in your squad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's a 5 million starter. He's not even a 5 million rotator. If you really wanted to try and save some money to power into both Salah and Mane, for example, or whatever else. Like, take, for example, now I want to get, maybe look at Aubameyang from Jamie Vardy. I do need to find a bit of money to do that. I'd almost consider Maddison to Fleck as a all right option to allow me to do that potentially.
Just a note on Fleck, because I'm not saying his points are skewed, but when he returns, like he really returns. He's not getting 5-pointers or 6-pointers. So in his games that he's returned this season, 10, 9, 15, 13, 9. Everything else is shit. So he's going to be a feast or famine if you want to go down that route.
Yeah, you have to ride out the rough with the smooth. Brighton 1, Aston Villa 1. Brighton went ahead, looking at Trossard and Maupay, who are the two real standout choices there. I did like seeing Maupay pick up the assist there. But Jack Grealish coming back and doing what Jack Grealish does now, he really is a consideration now. The talk in the town is that he should be in the England squad, and there's a few, including Mr. Hopcroft, our Villa correspondent, that thinks he should be a starter, let alone in the squad.
At some point between now and March, we will have a people's poll. I will force you to vote for England. Jack Grealish is borderline whether he should be in the team. It's not a question of whether he should be in the squad or not. He's borderline starting 11. International football will suit him so well with his style, how comfortable he is on the ball and the way that he can carry the thing. And in a worst case scenario, he gets himself down a blind alley and he'll win a free kick.
Yeah,
he's terrific at it. It's not just England contention he's working his way into, it's back into my FPL team.
He
absolutely
is in James's FPL team
and
again.
in. I don't mind saying that, and I explained my reasoning for why I sold him rather than Wilfried Zaha a couple of weeks ago, and the intention was to get rid of both. I think I explained myself in a way that it felt like the right decision at the time, but I'm not ashamed to say, all right, mistake. Okay, let's amend that. And it came from looking into the data a little bit and going back and assessing Villa from when this formation change happened. Now, they've had some shoddy performances as seen against Man City last game week, where defensively they've still got issues. But I went back and dated back to when Grealish essentially started playing in this higher position, which started with the fixture at Norwich in game week 8. In the games that Jack Grealish has played since game week 8, and including that victory at Norwich, his goal involvement in the games that he's played is 71%. That is monstrous. Monstrous.
Talk about talisman. He is the talisman at Villa there. Do you think there's any hope for Villa here?
What, stay up? Yeah, absolutely.
You think they could still turn
I
it
think
around
they're in
and
the
get
race.
themselves
I mean, at the moment, the way Bournemouth are playing, it's very hard to see them staying up. It's hard to see Norwich keeping enough clean sheets defensively to give themselves a chance. And then I think it's quite open for 18th. I still think, like, although Burnley and Newcastle had good results this weekend, they could get dragged back into it. Brighton, as much as I've praised them, are not pulling away from it.
No.
And they've got 3 more very big fixtures coming up, Brighton, which includes Bournemouth away tomorrow night. Suddenly lose that, and then just naturally you're looking over your shoulder again. So I think it's quite open. Norwich and Bournemouth could still absolutely get out of it, by the way. I do really think that points-wise, 18th is going to be high this year. It's going to be higher than it's been for a number of years. I think it might push towards 40 points this year. It really could.
We're sitting on 23 at the moment, and Bournemouth are on like 20. It's 20s, 22s, 23s. Up to then, if you look at the Newcastle and what have you, they're on 29. So they've got a 2-victory cushion. So, I mean, you'd think that, 35,
Newcastle on
37.
29 points. To be honest, 29 points from, 23 games? That's normally the sort of run rate that's going to put you very comfortably safe. I mean, 3 more wins, probably enough. Yeah. But like I said, it's going to be tighter this year. That whole 40-point mark, that's like the guarantee safe, basically, right? Yeah. Where people dream about that number. And like very often, 37, 38 is more than comfortable. I'm not sure it will be this year.
No.
So it will keep a lot of teams involved.
Trossard or Maupay or anyone at Brighton taking your eye at the moment, or is it a case of not really better options elsewhere at better prices?
Not personally, I spoke about Trossard quite a bit last week, and it interests me. As I said, I looked at the numbers and it didn't overly appeal to me, actually.
I just think he needs some consistency in the team. If he plays regularly and consistently for a while,
if there's a criticism of Brighton and Potter, it's the unfamiliarity in terms of the consistency of how they set up. It was a 3-4-3 at Everton. Looks like they went back to like a back four with Alzate against Villa at the weekends. You also don't really know what you're going to get from them, and that makes picking their assets quite difficult, I think.
Man City 2, Crystal Palace 2. Like, when we walked out of the London Stadium, my brother turned to me and he asked me, he goes, "Do you think Pep's going to stay post the summer?" Interesting question. Is it one of these situations where, because Pep does burn out in clubs, you've seen it with Barcelona, but is he burning out there? What's happened? He's lost his right hand man.
It's very difficult to have sympathy because you look at the players that are on the pitch from him, and you know
there's no issue with strength and depth. Their B team team would be in the top 4 in the Premier League.
It's reported today that Stones is out of the game tomorrow night. But
they were talking about selling him anyway. Wasn't there a potential move to Arsenal?
But he bought him. You know, he's bought Cancelo and Mendy and all that. You know, you can't complain, mate. You've bought Rodri to go and play holding midfield to stop this sort of shit, like late counter attacks. When having got yourself in a position to go 2-1 in front very late in the game, that should be finished. Mm-hmm. If you're a top side, there is no circumstance there where a team like Crystal Palace still score. I don't care if it's Wilfried Zaha or not. Mm-hmm. Do what everybody else does. Get 2 players out there and stop it from happening. And he'll come inside and he'll go home. So they show naive traits, Man City, that you don't expect from a side that's we've all lauded for the last couple of years. And that's why they deserve the criticism. Because we've all gone, how good are they? You know, say last week you're looking at the Villa game, you're purring about them. Oh, I need to get this asset in, I need to get that asset in.
Mahrez is suddenly flavour of the month despite being inconsistent.
Mahrez is suddenly on the bench at the weekend. Sterling, it feels like hasn't returned for a while.
Ages. So
for me, it's the same old with them. It's like if you've gone that position where you're on Aguero right now, great. If you're on Mahrez, you've got confidence, I think, to feel that he'll play at Sheffield United and quite possibly return. Other than that, it's De Bruyne, isn't it?
Yep. And it could have been with like that free kick that he hit
Yeah.
You're just looking at that thinking, you know what, those kind of things do change the dynamic of a game.
He still had joint most shots at the weekend, De Bruyne.
Did he?
Of any player,
I didn't see the stats.
Not a single one on target, mind.
Yeah. But yeah, he's still always ripe and ready to return. And when City are on form, it's double returns with De Bruyne. So he's not going anywhere.
There was a lot of talk when they played Everton over the Christmas period about how deep he was. His position doesn't bother me.
Me neither.
Just doesn't bother me. And he's the consistency in Man City that I know that I want, at least until they get to those Champions League games against Real Madrid. And then I think we maybe have a look again. But for right now, he could blank for the next 2-3 games. He wouldn't go anywhere for me.
No. From a Crystal Palace point of view, you obviously talked about Zaha is completely gone and out now, and I don't think their fixtures necessarily are great.
I think their fixtures are okay.
They're okay.
Yeah.
They're okay. But yeah, I think at the same price point, Jack Grealish is cheaper by a couple of pips all over that. Complete
if
difference.
you want to punt for this game week, Wilfried Zaha. It's absolute certainty. I'm Southampton tomorrow night. They're not the best defensively, are they? We've just bought the Southampton goalkeeper. It's obvious, isn't it?
They're not the best defensively. They've been all right. There'll be a response from them after losing a 2-goal lead, I think, from Southampton. So I'm not looking at that. Cenk Tosun can't hit a barn door for Everton. Pops up at Crystal Palace.
I think if the service is all right for him, and invariably most of the time at Everton it wasn't, and it probably won't be playing for Palace either. I mean, he took the goal really well. Like, it's a lovely finish to go back across with his head. Tactically, just a couple of things on Palace. Obviously, Jordan Ayew in a wide right position. Now, I don't know the injury status, for example, of Andros Townsend, for example, but whether Ayew would stay there or whether Tosun would stay in that team longer term.
Well, Ayew was doing well through the middle, wasn't he? So
yeah, but you just never have that feeling with him. I know, like, he scored a great goal against you, and every now and again he does seem to pop up with one, but he's not the goal scorer that Palace want. That's gonna.
I think Roy Hodgson does like
he's
a big man.
He's not a poacher, if you want.
No,
he's Jordan Ayew does great work for the team. I'd say he's a really good team player. I think Palace wants someone who's going to be in and around the box and you can have a bit of faith in. Tosun seems happy. I saw an interview of him after the game where he looked like he felt appreciated by the club, the fans, etc. The one I really wanted to pick up on Palace, though, is obviously Joel Ward back fit and on the bench at City at the weekend. Now, I need to do a bit of digging here in terms of what PVA status is, because Riederwald, who I say every week on the pod, is bog average. I don't know how he played at the weekend, but he's bog average. I think rather than Ward coming back in for Kelly at the moment, I think right now they would just put Ward or Kelly at left back until Van Aanholt is fit. So I don't think it's an immediate panic if you're a Martin Kelly owner, but certainly one to watch in the coming weeks.
Manchild, West Side in the house.
Yes, Manchild, what happening?
How many points did you get this weekend, Manchild?
50, why not? I'm guessing.
Should we tell you?
He has no idea.
Shall we tell you? Let's have a look at where Manchild is.
This could take a while.
Nah, I'll take 2
I did watch the
seconds.
Liverpool match. I was impressed by that last night.
Whoa.
Wow, he watched football.
Whoa.
The listeners might not have heard
Whoa.
that. He said, I watched the Liverpool match.
Whoa. Game week rank 665,000. 63 points.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I got 53. James got 41 minus 4. So you almost doubled James's score.
Who's he got?
Virgil van Dijk in
Yeah,
defence. Mo Salah as captain.
Yeah.
Chris Wood and Raul Jimenez up front.
Standard, yeah.
So those guys, that's 29, 36, 46, 49 points from 4 players.
Brilliant. Congratulations.
Yes.
You officially are better at this lark than me, but it doesn't take much at the moment.
Well, how many weeks is my game, my match, not match?
How many weeks am I? What?
How many weeks has my team gone untouched?
That's a lot.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
I think week 2 I lost my
Do yourself a favour, log in, put your triple captaincy on Salah this week. That's the one you got, isn't it?
Well, the first bit,
Just do it. I'll help you tomorrow. Ask for a new password.
63 points.
Don't ask me what a triple captain is. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yes. 63 points. Not a bad shout. Not a bad result at all. Norwich.
You've just mugged me off so badly.
Let's talk about Norwich and Bournemouth, shall we?
Let's.
1-0 Pookie party happening. The Pookie and the Doo-Doo.
The Pookie and the dude.
Oh, dear. The Pookie party.
Are you here all week, mate?
Yeah, I am indeed.
So
to be fair, he's not back really on fire. His first goal in 6 for Pookie.
It's Duda, isn't it? Your
Yeah,
fellow
it's
who got
Duda.
the assist.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to say Steve Cook got his nomination in early for save of the season. What was he thinking? I don't know what
Instinct.
I don't know what goes through players' minds.
But it would have gone in had he not. palmed it.
Let it go in.
Yeah.
You're not. It's VAR.
That early in the game,
I mean, this
yeah.
is where you go. Yeah, VAR, great. Like, if for any reason the penalty had not been given,
Yeah.
you would say serious misjustice. Yes, absolutely. Please give a penalty. How do you think for a? I don't care. You say instinct. It's not one where it's come at him from 2 yards. There has to be some thought process. And I expect him to know in that thought process of the ball travelling 15, 20 yards for him to go, do you know what? I'm definitely getting sent off here, aren't I?
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Let it go in and it's 0-0 rather than it's 1-0 rather than, it's now 1-0 and you've let your 10 teammates down. Great. Just what Eddie Howe needed under pressure, etc. at the moment. There was some rumours last week that Eddie Howe had been asked to resign. I don't believe that at all. I can't believe that. It's Jeff Mostyn, isn't it? I can't believe that you would ever ask that of him. Ever. Like the relationship that they have. So, but big games for Bournemouth, obviously with Brighton this week. And is it Villa they've got next afterwards as well?
Bournemouth are playing Brighton at home, Villa at home, followed by Sheffield United away and Burnley away. So two home fixtures.
Home games. Wow. If they take 6 points out of it, then suddenly they're probably 2 or 3 points outside the drop zone. It looks better. Don't win any of them two, you can't see them recovering, I'm afraid.
1 point in the last 6, 1 goal in the last 6.
Callum Wilson had a shot on target. Had you seen that stat that was going around? I didn't know about it till I saw it last week.
No.
He hadn't had a shot on target since like October the 6th or something.
Mental.
Phenomenal.
Bournemouth are in trouble here. You're right in terms of if they lose the next 2, I can't see them turning it around. And it's that spiral of 1 point in 6 games is pretty bad. 1 from 18.
I think
Defensively, I think they're awful.
I'm glad you said that. I think I'm going to start Diego Rico tomorrow night.
Go for it.
My thinking on that is Brighton's lack of goals in away games. You saying go for it because you want me to up?
Yeah, why not? I don't know. I mean, you've talked about benching Lundstrom. I haven't even thought about it yet. I'll probably play Lundstrom, but let's see.
It would be a choice for me, Rico at home to Brighton or Kelly at home to Southampton. And I'm just thinking, my position-wise now, I want to go all in for it. I think Kelly probably is slightly the better choice, but because I've got Danny Ings, I'm thinking, sod it, I might just go Rico. With Steve Cook sending off, and obviously Rico did come back into the team at the weekend, which I suspected that he might. I think the likelihood is he'll stay in that team for that Brighton fixture at least. And I think it's a decent one maybe to drop him in, actually. That said, you really shouldn't be looking at their assets. Otherwise, I'd be looking to sell him as quickly as I can, really, Diego Rico. On Norwich. Yeah, interesting one. What's your price, Duda, that your fellow who got the assist? I'm going to be really honest, I don't actually know.
He is £5 million midfielder, Andre Duda.
One possibly to keep an eye on, because he's probably going to play in this three behind Pookie, which I think is moving more towards it being him, Cantwell and Buendia, who's is playing really well, and I think eventually somewhere he's going to be an FPL asset. It just might not be this season for Norwich. Godfrey now suspended, a very similar challenge to Aubameyang's at Crystal Palace, and that's a blow. Grant Hanley on the verge of hitting 3.9 million, could be a starter for you for the next 3 game weeks. Don't do it. It'd be very, very short term.
Yeah, waste of a transfer. Southampton 2, Wolves 3. So at Parker_Bradley, our Wolves correspondent, we've had him on Clash of the Correspondents, regular contributor, tweeted, "We are so awful right now," or something along those lines. Is it? I'm sure he did it because he knew it would tempt fate then they would recover.
No, not at all. Bradley's not one of them who gets too hyper or too, when it's really well, or too down when it's really, he's very positive about his team.
Tongue in cheek, but I was actually surprised when I saw the tweet because
he's been quite concerned.
Wolves have been amazing, though. I mean, I go back to the performance against us; they destroyed us.
But also, there's an opportunity for them here, and they've slipped up a couple of times recently. Where actually, because Chelsea have got no consistency in them either, Wolves really were in a real position to really try and push for this 4th place. And they've let themselves down a little bit. Now, they've obviously recovered really well at the weekend. Bradley's concern is the fitness of the squad. They can just never change it. He's gone with basically the same team that played at United in the Cup in midweek. Obviously, they went out of that. It was a little bit unfortunate. But with Jota out for a little while, I know Bolly's coming back. You're just looking at it going a bit thin on numbers. And that's the concern. They've been linked. I don't know who the player is, but linked with a player from Olympiacos today for £30 million. I don't know what stage that's at the moment. But the concern for Bradley was he was picking up that Nuno kept saying in interviews, we need reinforcements. And the feeling amongst Wolves fans was that perhaps the money wasn't forthcoming this month. And then there's a concern that there might be other jobs come up in the summer, like Manchester United maybe, for example.
But regardless
and they might look at him.
But I think Nuno, regardless of time of season and where Wolves were, like the likes of Manchester United come knocking, he's going to be tempted.
He's going to go. No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's really bad. Wolves are in a great position. We keep talking about the potential of, say, yourselves or Everton's or Newcastle's if they ever get themselves in a real position. Right, Wolves are the ones who are in that position right now. Like, you've got a chance. But if a Manchester United come calling, you're going to go. I'm sorry, I know that's
you're right with that.
To take, but it's true, and it might just be that it would only be Manchester United.
I think in certain areas of the pitch they do have a little bit of strength and depth. You mentioned last week Neto as a potential coming in to replace Jota, who's injured right now. He comes in and he scores, and he's a potentially really good consideration. I think 19-year-old kid. And he's playing better than a lot of 19-year-old kids would in the Premier League. So I think he's not a bad choice there. Willy Bolly's coming back from injury now very soon. They'll be all right, I think, Wolves. I think you just got to keep faith.
They're having a brilliant season. It's not to criticise, like, Wolves, for example. I'm not trying to say that United would even go for Santo. I honestly think that last summer, I think if United had pushed hard for Pochettino last summer, I think he probably would have gone. So it's just a reflection of Manchester United and what taking that job at the right time while it's at a low could really do for someone. No one's criticising Wolves for what they've done this season. They showed what they are all about in this second half.
Yeah.
They changed essentially nothing tactically. The only thing, and it was picked up a little bit from the Manchester United Cup game a little bit as well, is they've been switching Traore and Neto flanks mid-game. And I think one of the reasons for that is obviously there's become such an overemphasis to get to Traore on that right-hand side. And just throwing him to the left, it just messes the opposition tactically a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if that's not suited to Traore and maybe not even to Neto or Jota when he comes back, just sticking him out there messes the opposition about. Spurs used to do it, with Lennon in sort of the around 2006-07 period. Just shove him on the left for 20 minutes just because it became so obvious that he was the out ball for us all the time. Get the ball to the right, just stick him out on the other side, and the opposition then have to think about what they're doing.
What do we do if we own the likes of Jimenez and Traore? I'm sitting on two of them now. They're about to walk into Liverpool at home, United away, Leicester at home, Norwich at home, but then Tottenham away. 4 out of the next 5 against what you'd consider traditionally big six.
I don't think, and this will make it up to Wolves fans, I don't think that Wolves will lose to Liverpool. I really think they'll get a result.
It wouldn't surprise me if they get a result. I mean, I watched Liverpool yesterday against Manchester United. They are imperious right now. So
yes,
I don't. I probably do still think that Liverpool will win it, but I don't think they'll get spanked there potentially. And I think Wolves could score.
I tell you, it would be really interesting to put Traore up on Alexander-Arnold's side. I'd say Alexander-Arnold won't get near him.
That picture that I saw of Traore with like a sleeveless top on, fuck me, mate. Those guns. He's tasty as Traore.
He reckons he can't do weights, doesn't he?
No, he said he can't do weights because he bulks up too quickly. I'm like, yeah.
Well, you don't look at me.
No, I mean, I don't know. Impressive stuff from Wolves. I can't sell their assets. I can't sell him and Traore.
No. Don't worry about Wolves with the fixtures. Neto, Traore, and
good,
Jimenez
good team
are all great choices. I wouldn't be looking at them defensively while they've got these next 3 coming up now. But any of those front 3, I think Neto's...
Stick and hold.
I agree with you. I'd mentioned it weeks ago about if Jota got injured, watch this kid, maybe.
It was only a couple of weeks ago. I think you talked about it. Yeah, worth it.
Is it worth a little bit more? It feels like with them, they're all priced right. Like that order, Neto, Traore, Jimenez. It's not like, if Jimenez was priced as he was last year, we'd all be steaming in like everyone but me was last season. Whereas it's a nice even split. I personally, as just an owner of Traore, I feel like he might just about cover off Jimenez's points at the moment. So I don't feel the need to force it. Structure-wise, for me as a Rashford owner, it does feel like the right way to go. Playing Liverpool just doesn't feel right. I feel like I have to be, and I have gone elsewhere.
You say that. Okay, so we talked about Robert Fleck's points as a 5 million rated midfielder. Now Traore is at 5.7. When he returns, 10, 13, 10, couple of 5s, 16, 8. Everything else is 2s. He's just the same in terms of big
But
returns.
there's some odds there, Traore, like the 5s on that. Whereas what I was saying with Fleck...
Two out of the last,
what I was saying
whatever.
with Fleck is essentially... There'll be a lot of 2s.
10 or 2.
Is what I was saying.
But I think there will be with Traore as well. But you ride them out a little bit with Traore.
Yeah, and they're also, like I said, don't worry too much of the fixtures. I think the fixtures are such this week that for me as a Traore owner, I'm going to have to leave him out. But I think sort of like United afterwards and that, I'll probably play him.
Southampton, Danny Ings doesn't score. Shock.
Yes. Talking about goal involvements, obviously Danny Ings is brilliant, but yes.
For everybody that tweeted, I broke Danny Ings, don't worry about it. It wasn't you at all.
I love all that.
Yeah.
I broke Danny Ings. What? All like 500,000 of you. All together.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
What about all the other guys who'd been buying him for the last 10 weeks and weren't breaking
Look at it from one point of view. They went 2-0 up against a very good Wolves side at home. Played a bad half of football, and so be it. Kind of just move on from it. I think we'll see a bounce back at the weekend. I think Hassan Hüttler is going to get in amongst them. If you're owning Danny Ings, it's still fine to own Danny Ings.
Yeah, no one's suggesting come off.
No.
Not at all. Just on Ings, obviously...
And congratulations to Shane Long.
For?
Scoring a goal.
It doesn't happen often, does it?
No,
we should probably do that.
First of the season.
Interesting. You want a better stat? Bednarek scored.
Yeah.
It was his first goal since a goal against Chelsea about 18 months ago. And they also went 2-0 up. They went 2-0 up in both of those fixtures and lost.
All right, Bednarek.
There's
Don't
one
shoot.
for you.
Don't shoot. Don't use your head. Nothing.
Lots of reports, obviously, the expectation on Danny Ings not starting at Crystal Palace tomorrow night. I think he will. And I think that he...
There were rumours before the weekend's game that he wasn't going to start.
I'm going to take a real risk in what I'm saying here personally. I don't think he'll play against Tottenham in the FA Cup on Saturday. I think it's play at Palace and give the guy a good sort of week to 10 days off. I think that's more likely. I think Danny Ings will play at Palace tomorrow night.
I can't see the justification in going from Mopé, who's got Bournemouth away, who I think will definitely play, to Danny Ings. I can't see that justification in
I don't know if there's
transfer.
ever a definite with Brighton on playing, by the way. And
True.
we sort of did that about sort of unknown element.
Glenn
of them.
Murray is now definitely a bench player, so who's he going to play? Aaron Connolly, maybe?
But
Or get Jan Bakash up front or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Change the system.
Could do.
And Glenn Murray's actually seen a few minutes over the last sort of month or so. He came on late at Everton. And
Yeah,
that.
quite
So he's not
possibly.
completely... I don't see Glenn Murray starting games as such, but yeah, I think there's always an unknown with Brighton. I think Ings will play tomorrow. It's just a personal opinion. He no doubt won't. Will get me a 1-pointer off the bench for his 15-minute cameo, and we'll get at-trick against Spurs in the Cup of the weekend. There you go. I've just tempted fate.
West Ham 1, Everton 1. So draw at the London Stadium.
Is that it? We're not going to talk about it now, but on tomorrow's Tottenham, I'm going to be asking you about protests.
There were...
The
I didn't
10-year celebration of Golden Sullivan.
I didn't see anything. Didn't hear anything.
What are you, Wenger?
No, honestly, I didn't hear or see anything.
Okay.
I heard about it, and even the people around me are apparently there's supposed to be some march, and a few thousand people are going to be on it. Honestly think they're the minority. It's just a small number of people.
We'd definitely be talking about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't think it is minority.
I think it is.
Anyway, football. Felipe Anderson out, we
Correct.
believe. Mikel Antonio from the ITK, ex-West Ham United employee, believes that he will be back for the Leicester fixture. I'll tell you what, if you want to pump West Ham for this double game week, Antonio. The only alternative I could suggest to you is Snodgrass, because just on the set pieces and stuff like that. You're not going to recommend anyone, are you?
Well, let's talk about the game. Forget Anderson and Antonio because they didn't play at the weekend. When I saw the lineups, I thought, okay, Everton's midfield with Delph and Davis in the middle and Bernard on one side and Walcott on the other and then Moise Keane. I thought they lacked no Richarlison or no Sigurdsson or someone as a playmaker in the middle. I didn't fear Moise Keane as the playmaker. I was like, I don't think that team are going to be able to hurt us necessarily from an attacking point of view. And when the game played out like that, I didn't think Everton offered much from an attacking point of view in the first half at all. That game was there for us to win. The way we'd set up, that game was there for us to win. And I suppose when you get a draw when you've only got 10 men, it's not too bad, really, to be fair. But yeah, same problem as Arsenal. Higher work rate, but no lack of quality. Serious lack of quality. And Manuel Lanzini was non-existent. You may as well not bother lacing up his boots for the next fixture because he was nothing.
Do you want it out?
Ever since he has had that injury before the World
same.
Cup, he's unfortunately just not the same. Anderson did particularly well with Haller when he got close to him. But Lanzini just doesn't have the mobility. I think, if you think about it, from the weekend's performance, there was only two players worthy of the shirt. One was Snodgrass and the other was Rice. And I don't think either are potentially FPL options. When the best player on the pitch is not an FPL option, then you steer clear. I'm not with you on this Antonio punt. Based on the fact that he's been injured, is he going to get nursed back in? You got to be a maverick manager to be jumping on Antonio right now.
There's a few out there.
Yeah. On the flip side, I mean, was Richarlison injured? I didn't really pay attention.
Richarlison is ruled out definitely of the Newcastle game tomorrow night. Ancelotti had said today. We don't know if we can trust Ancelotti yet, but that's what came out of the Everton presser today.
Yep. From an Everton point of view, defensively they were solid, and they actually did. The problem with West Ham is our work rate under Pellegrini was poor. We couldn't do the basics and we couldn't attack. The work rate's been sorted out now. We did put a bit more of a shift in, But the amount of times we gave the ball away, flipping Nora.
That's a recurring theme for you, isn't it?
It is. And the quality up front, the Haller was awful. It couldn't pass to his own teammate that's 3 feet away sometimes. So, yeah, it was really poor. Just from that point of view, the Liverpool game will be our 4th game in 11 or 12 days. And if we give the ball away like we did against Everton to Liverpool, oh my God, they are going to tear us a new one. I thought Mason Holgate was decent for Everton. Calvert-Lewin, obviously, he popped up with the goal, which was a bit of a poacher's goal. They were the only 2 on the pitch that I saw that I would potentially consider. Sidibe's been popping up, but he was benched and he came on only for the last 15 or 20 minutes, and there was no Richarlison. So those are the other 2 that have been raising their head from an Everton point of view. They're in place. I can't really comment on them. But Mason Holgate was decent. He was pretty decent. A bit of a threat at set pieces.
Assisted, obviously, the Calvert-Lewin goal with a
flick
on at the near post.
He's not a bad shout if you want someone at that price point.
Now 4-5.
Yeah, he's crept up that 0.1. And Calvert-Lewin was a poacher's goal, but I think they did struggle. I mean, Walcott and Bernard didn't really provide much service. And Moise Keane, I'm not sure. What do we make of Moise Keane?
Young potential.
Yeah, he didn't really have 19. An impact on the game.
It's because he's come with money. You expect XYZ to start with. Don't forget,
but
obviously.
I don't know what type of player he is. From what I've seen, is he a
when he came in
creative
the team,
attacking midfielder?
He's a centre forward, man. He's a striker.
So he was playing reasonably. He was playing as a number 10 more than he was up alongside Calvert-Lewin. So I don't know. He struggled to have an impact on the game. When you play
for, obviously his record for Juventus was very good last year, and when you play for the best team in Italy, you're going to get more chances, etc. It's easy to come in when you got like Cristiano Ronaldo on the flank and stuff, isn't it? It's a little bit different when you got Theo Walcott and Alex Iwobi, who, with respect, didn't play at the weekend. The quality of service is going to be a little bit different, as you said. No Richarlison, no Sigurdsson, etc. The interesting one for me was that Sidibe was left out. Just came out of nowhere. But then I assume the positive of that is that he will almost certainly play against Newcastle.
Quite possibly.
Tomorrow night, I just found out with Everton out of the FA Cup as well. I just found that really surprising, the need to
rest him
to make that champ. We don't know if he would have had a knock or anything, but there's been no report of any issue. I'd assumed light on bodies that they would have gone back 3 again with Sidibe ahead of Coleman. Interesting one.
Yeah, I was disappointed at the end of it, I'll be honest with you, because the game was there that if we'd gone for it, we could have won. And there's one thing that Noble and Rice have been doing well is patrolling that area at the edge of the box. So for the likes of Moise Keane, I understand he didn't get a lot of time and space. But yeah, nothing to report. However, if you're thinking about that triple captainship, and that Liverpool game next Wednesday night is filling me full of dread, because we give the ball away like that and they will be all over us. I'm looking at 4-5s in that game if they play to their potential. Not even if they play to their potential, they just need to be at 3 out of 10 and they'll fucking be at 4 or 5.
So here's the lesson to learn from this. When Liverpool don't beat Wolves on Thursday and you've triple captained Mane, Salah,
don't
whatever,
panic.
And they blanked, don't shit yourself, because they'll rip West Ham a new one next week.
100%. And you know what will happen? We'll pull out the performance of our lives and it'll just be dumb. But yeah, because I'm going to be triple captain and a Liverpool player. Let's talk about Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0. Right, okay, 94th minute and all that, but I don't know here.
Chelsea have taken 13 points from the last 11 games, and they're still pissing forth. That's why I get like annoyed about Spurs and that as well. It didn't have to do anything spectacular, and it's the same for United and Wolves. If you want Arsenal, it's the same. Like, the opportunity's been there for everyone to really put the pressure onto Chelsea. This game was a little bit farcical because actually I know a lot of people were quite bored with the game. You got to remember that I went out and in the cold and watched Spurs at Watford first, right? And my opinion was...
Why were you in the cold? Inside the pub? Surely warm.
I actually watched the game in the pub garden, actually, believe it or not, with a bit of heating. Yeah, as you do.
All right.
Yeah, to be honest, it's lonely moments with Spurs at the moment. So, that's my own fault. But watching Chelsea afterwards, my opinion watching the game was, and maybe this is possibly tinted glasses, was, I was like, look, man, they moved the ball so much quicker than us. those are the little subtle differences. And I always felt like actually a goal would probably come for Chelsea. The issue is, and Lampard, I think, is not helping the situation here, is I think he's putting a bit of pressure on Abraham at the moment because he keeps knocking on about, we need goals. Tammy Abraham, I said when they played us in mid-December, was a better player than I thought he was. He is not going to be Chelsea's long-term number 9 if they want to get back to challenging for the title.
You don't think he's good enough?
No. I think he's a very good striker. I think he's better than I thought he was. I think he's the best centre-forward at Chelsea at the moment. I was surprised that they took him off at the weekend in spite of not having a great game. I'd have liked to have seen him play with Batshuayi for the last 10 minutes or so. Might have been interesting, actually. But he's not a long-term solution now. And unfortunately, they keep having issues defensively. Like, I mean, 1, don't let the cross happen. 2, win the header. 3, I think the goalkeeper, he's had a nightmare season. He really has. He makes the odd spectacular Kepa. But
he's really, not a 60, 70 million
really
keeper,
has
surely.
Had a bad, I think shot-stopping wise, he's been really average this season. But they're going to finish 4th by default. And they've got a big squad, which is going to be really helpful injury-wise, particularly midfield. Noticeable that no Win and Kovacic is missing. I don't think that's coincidental, personally. Newcastle.
You're going to buy any Newcastle players?
Am I going to buy any Newcastle players?
Oh, he said Maximin's back with his 6-minute cameo.
I absolutely am.
Almiron? No, I know who you're buying. Big Mac.
Well, I reckon...
Tell me.
Jamal Lascelles for the newer listeners, because we have to... FPL Ultimo sent a tweet out at the weekend. And I don't even think he tagged me in, actually. It's a little gif of a Big Mac about, these are his numbers, and people are like, who is this? And, I'm like, to all these people who don't know this, Jamal Lascelles, and I'm like, how can you not know, living in my bubble, thinking that everybody must listen to Planet FPL and know the backstory of Jamal Lascelles? I reckon we should rename him, mate.
Yes,
because Big Mac don't work, does it?
No.
Let's call him Big Tasty.
Big Tasty. Okay.
Jamal Lascelles, Big Tasty. Everton away next week, or this coming game week, rather.
Yeah.
Norwich at home afterwards, I believe. I am strongly looking at getting Jamal Lascelles in for that game
4.2 is
week.
a cheap price for Jamal Lascelles.
Either Rico or Martin Kelly. I think it's a good, and for that fix you throw him straight in, wouldn't you? Norwich at home, I think you'd probably take a chance. And they do have a good run of fixtures, Newcastle.
They're defensively stubborn. They do get clean and keep clean sheets. I trust Newcastle to keep clean sheets over Bournemouth and Crystal Palace at the moment. So I don't think
the only thing about it that concerns me is, and to be honest, anyone can do this just by looking at their squad list. Essentially, they've actually got depth. So they've got Fernandes, Shah, Dummett, who really is a left back, but with the system they play would play left-sided centre half. Lascelles, Kieran Clark, I thought was absolutely. I thought he was the pick actually at the weekend. I thought it was brilliant. He's 4.3. And Florian Lejeune also plays there, has had bad injuries this year. So we've got 6 players who can play a centre-half position. Now, the benefit for Lascelles is I think he's probably one of the best 2, and obviously he is captain. There shouldn't be any concerns there at all. And he's now the cheapest. So I think, absolutely consider him. No, I still wouldn't be looking at Almiron on that. He's 5.8. I just had a look. He can't go near that, man.
No, not
Stop it, man. With his like flex and stuff like Neto at 5 million. Stop it. You're not doing that kind of thing. Willems, we believe,
out for a while.
It could be the season, actually, that sort of injury. He knew straight away, didn't he?
Wasn't good.
Now, interestingly, it comes just at the time when Matt Ritchie is back fit. We presume Ritchie will go into that team at left wing back, 5.3 million.
Did he start the season at 6?
No, 5.5.
5.5 was he?
His
I
price
know he was expensive.
I mean,
at the
he
start
wasn't.
of the season.
His ownership was. I mean, his ownership now is 0.2% ownership naturally. He's probably the penalty taker when he's fit. I don't think we physically know that for definite, but he's probably the pen taker. You cannot justify paying the 1.1 million more than just having Lascelles, when also their defensive players do get goals from set pieces and that as well, don't they? So I think Newcastle's proportion of centre-back scoring is more than anybody else this season.
Wouldn't surprise me.
They have a decent run. And yes, Jamal Lascelles, this time next week, we'll be having a conversation. It's then Arsenal away after Norwich, then Palace, Burnley, Southampton, Sheffield United, Villa, Bournemouth, West Ham.
Decent run.
It is.
Couple more games to get through, and we've been chatting for an hour, mate, as we always do, overrunning. Burnley 2, Leicester 1. Forget this Nick Pope stuff about the fact that he's England's next goalkeeper, which Andy Hinchcliffe is bowling on about and all the rest of it. Look, credit to Burnley for the recovery. I'm still doesn't do anything to make me want to pick any of their assets.
No, not at all, mate.
No. But what do we do with Leicester? Maddison, Vardy, those are the two highly owned. Soyuncu. I haven't kept a clean sheet in ages.
Madison. I don't think this is a conversation now. I think that's really important. Like, with respect, they're playing yourselves this week in a home fixture. Yes, they're having a little dip.
Then they've got Chelsea at home, who are ropey at the back.
That was almost a little bit inevitable. I mean, they're still absolutely miles clear of fifth place. So they're under no immediate threat unless it seriously continues and then you start looking over your shoulder for whatever reason. Whether the fact they're in the League Cup semi-finals and they had a bad result in the first leg of that's influenced them, I'm not sure. But really, this fixture was in the bag. Burnley didn't do anything overly other than they started getting in Leicester's face. And the crowds suddenly got involved a little bit. I think if Vardy scores the penalty, you go routine win for Leicester and we don't say too much. And they've ended up conceding, two ridiculously, particularly Westwood's winning goal was particularly sloppy. Soyuncu's had a lot of rave reviews this year and he has played incredibly well. He's been very, very good. And he's obviously been a very good FPL and particularly Sky fantasy football asset this season. I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks he is. I think he's one of them when it's a bad day, it's a really bad day, you know. Man City have been linked over and over again. I don't think he's the solution for them. It's not to criticise him. He came into the season for Leicester with very low expectations this year and done well. The other notable is obviously Ben Chilwell was at the game. Left out of the 18 is a little strange. There are reports that perhaps the bid's come in and his head's been a little bit turned, maybe.
By who? We don't know.
I can only... The natural fit for that is Chelsea, I think. Chelsea want a left-back, don't they?
Yep.
That feels like the natural fit. Money, London, all that. He's a strange one, Chilwell, and he speaks like... Have you ever heard him talk?
No.
Do you know what? I won't spoil it for you. Just go and find a Ben Chilwell interview. He thinks he's gangster, fam.
Oh, fair play. Let's just wrap up the games with the Liverpool 2 Manchester United 0 game. Ultimately, I thought that Manchester United gave it as good a go as they could with the players they had on the pitch. But
doesn't that speak volumes? But
they weren't in the same league. I mean, I'm not buying this. The Ole Gunnar stuff after the game where he's like, the way that Alisson and Salah celebrated shows how far Manchester United have come. What's with Mo Salah, mate?
Can I just
is he
say,
single?
No, he's married, man.
I don't think Mo Salah is he?
Yeah, got a kid.
Because there's only one reason to rip your shirt off like that and flex your muscles, because if you're out on the pool.
You think?
I thought he was single.
Nah, he's married with kid and stuff, man.
Is he? I thought he was posing for the ladies.
Of all the people to think, I wonder if he's out on the pool tonight, I would say Mohamed Salah is probably the furthest away from that list, I should imagine.
Okay. Mo Salah got married 3 years ago and they kept their private life.
Girl was on the pitch after he won the Golden Boot the other year,
all right, fair play. I thought he was just trying to flex it to pick up the ladies. Because if I had a body like that, I'd be walking around topless all the time anyway, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd make people pay for it. Liverpool, there's nothing, I'm not going to talk about them because there's nothing that I can tell you that you don't already know. To sum up, please, just go with your gut instinct of the one that you believe this week. Don't ask me which Liverpool player to buy or triple captain. This is Liverpool, the best side in the country by a mile. Go with what you believe.
Yeah,
honestly,
they are good.
Just go with what you believe. On United, Solskjaer's comments don't tell you how far Liverpool have gone and all that. It tells you how much he's degrading Manchester United there, by the way.
Yeah.
Imagine Ferguson making them comments. And,
Not.
And what did he say?
But what he's saying is it shows how far United have come that Liverpool care that much.
If you compare it to the performance here last season, it was better. Yeah, do you know what? Probably was, actually. Is that what you're doing, though? You're Man United, mate.
Yeah, but
and you saying, them turning up with the players that they've got, I mean, that's the sum up, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you've got to be realistic. United are not the United of old.
Don't a player in that United team gets nearer the Liverpool team?
No.
I thought you get this whenever there's a big game like, which 11 would you pick between the two? I'll tell you what, throw me in the Lalanas and shit like that on Liverpool's bench before you throw me any of United's.
Agreed. Cater, a lot of players that didn't get Milner.
Joel Matip.
Yeah. I don't know if you take
No, stop it.
De Gea would get in ahead of Adrian, but he wouldn't get in ahead of Alisson.
We have to talk about Rashford.
Stress fracture.
Now,
a lot of people giving the United medical team quite a bit of shit for this.
Well, if he's playing with a stress fracture in the first place, I would say that is incredibly dangerous. I'm not a medical specialist. Do at Ben Dinnery and Jonathan Wilson for this kind of thing.
They knew he had a stress fracture and let him play. That's dumb, yeah.
If they did, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. Although he is the sort of guy, and you can see that from even his tweets before and after the game. He's like, I'll be at all the team meetings. I'll be all that. I read all them tweets and I think, oh, yeah, you'll be playing for Real Madrid or something next year. How much of a shit do you really care? No, I think he's United through and through, and he wants to stay there and help out. I know Maguire's just got the captaincy, but I think longer term, he might well end up with that himself. He's going to be a big, massive miss for Manchester United. It's really important to say. It opens up a couple of doors, one most notably for Mason Greenwood, who I've not had a second thoughts about, and I bought last night, 4.3 million. It's now 4.4. I'll be starting him in the Burnley fixture this coming Wednesday. I think it's the sort of fixture I see absolutely no reason why he wouldn't play. For me, it's just one of them that offers incredible value. Any return that he gets me is exactly that value, and I'll take a punt on certain fixtures. I'll play him. Ones like when he plays Wolves the following game week, even though it's at Old Trafford, probably I'm less interested in, and I would actually probably go Traore over him at the moment. But that fixture Wednesday night, yeah, appeals.
No one else from United really sticking their hand up. Like Brandon Williams, if you want a cheap punt, you're happy to rotate him.
I'd be less comfortable with it. I certainly wouldn't take a hit for Brandon Williams.
No, if you're wildcarding into
purely because he played at Anfield. One of the things I was saying last week was if he doesn't play at Anfield, definitely go to him. I actually thought Luke Shaw as a left-sided centre-half didn't do too badly. That's probably where it's at. United didn't do too badly. But yeah, you can certainly look at Williams. And the crowd want him to play as well. And he acquitted himself very well. He was fine, Brandon Williams. It's those real cheapies.
There were periods in the game, especially the second half, where United were trying to pile on pressure.
I wouldn't look for Martial without his mate, by the way. It's another one. Martial's one who wants to play on the shoulder and get him behind, right? Fuck's finding him.
The best player they have that could potentially do that may even be Juan Mata, and he's not in the starting lineup.
Doesn't have the legs anymore, does he?
No, but he just needs to use his cultured foot.
Be interesting to follow this protracted transfer. Bruno Fernandes is obviously a player that might change that situation for United. But I think, if you would go and look at them for that Burnley fixture, you'd go with the two kids, the two cheapies, Greenwood and Williams.
There we go. 10 games wrapped up.
Okay, let's do some Twitter.
Ran over an hour, as we
always do.
Yeah. But, we had to raise the topic of the Manchester Planet FPL Live that's coming on the 22nd of February. Another shameless plug there. Twitter questions, you ready?
Plug in something we can't sell yet.
Couple more days and we'll be there. Right, let's mix it up. At Is My Cat Playing, our Manchester United correspondent, Gary, who will be there, fingers crossed. And if he's not, then I'll have words. Yeah, Gary, you better be there.
He'll be there.
You better be there. Favourite Manchester band?
It's got to be Oasis.
Yeah, stick with Oasis. I think Oasis, ultimately, you look back and they did have so many hits, so many good tracks. I think Oasis.
Noel and Liam told me they're coming as well to the live show.
Oh, are they?
Definitely, maybe.
Noel and Liam who? Because it's not Gallagher.
Just completely ruined that joke. Carry on.
I don't get it.
Definitely maybe.
Oh, definitely maybe. Now I understand.
Maybe.
Alex _ FPL. He's currently sitting on. He currently has. I was going to say sitting on Jesus. I was like, nah, you can't be sitting on Jesus Christ the Lord. I have Jesus. Would you hold or sell? Now, let's just say I'm currently holding a Manchester City asset that's not Kevin De Bruyne. Would you hold or sell?
Jesus did,
because it does apply, right, to every Manchester
Jesus,
City asset.
Jesus, whatever his name is. He didn't start at the weekend, so that's tempting, isn't it? Straight away, yeah. I'd keep him and start him at it's obviously a difficult fixture at Bramwell Lane Tuesday night. I'd keep him and start him.
It's interesting when he is playing the two up top together a little more than he has in the past. He seems to like it a little bit.
Their record as my cap player, and he did an article for us 12 or 18 months ago. Aguero and Jesus' numbers, when they play together, are unbelievable. Scary, unbelievable. Like they'll average like 2 attacking returns between them per game on average. Yeah, I think that was a one-off case at Villa. I don't think something will happen often. I think it will still be either or, as in Jesus or Aguero.
Ben Miller's got a question. Benjamin J. Miller on Twitter, which I don't know if I definitely can't answer. You may be able to answer. If you can, go for it. What's the best ever Game Week 24 performance in the Premier League era? I feel like there's an answer to that.
I could give you Spurs out of my ears, but I don't know which Spurs games were at physically Game Week 24. Let's go for Liverpool at West Ham next week.
Yeah, that'll be their 24th match. 4-0 done. There are a number of people, FPL _ Beach Bum, Fro Hike, and so on, asking about Jamie.
I was going to say, I better not be asking Liverpool questions. I said no Liverpool questions.
Jamie Vardy. Time to come off? What are your thoughts on coming off? I don't feel comfortable coming off both Maddison and Vardy. And I'm not... if I'm going from Vardy anywhere, then I'm going up to Aubameyang, which means spending money. Whereas if I'm going anywhere from Maddison, I'm going down to Grealish, which gives me money. So I'm likely to hold Jamie Vardy and move on Maddison for Grealish. And I think Grealish can easily match Maddison's returns.
The other important thing to say with Leicester is obviously following the West Ham game, they play Chelsea in Game Week 25. We will have information, which is really important in terms of have they beaten Brentford in the FA Cup? Have they beaten Aston Villa in the League Cup? Could have serious implications on Game Week 28 and Game Week 31. We'll obviously also know the FA Cup 5th round draw. We should have an indication even if Leicester do make the Carabao Cup final, if that Norwich fixture would stay in Game Week 28 or move on. There's a lot of information to gather. I would say if that Norwich game is going to be postponed and not in Game Week 28, there's a massive temptation to begin to come off him following this West Ham fixture.
We've got Amit Sanapala on Twitter. Amit, hope you're well. First time you've ever asked a question, so we'll answer it.
You remember all the questions from every pod?
I know that I've never
answered a question from Amit.
From any Amit. I think it's the first Amit that we've ever answered a question from.
Sorry if you have, Amit.
James has already answered this. It's
what are you asking it for?
Fleck versus City away or Greenwood versus Burnley at home. You're a big fan. You think Greenwood is going to play?
City at home, to clarify. Yeah, Mason Greenwood is absolutely no question starting for me tomorrow. It's also one where if I'm
it's the riskier pick, but it's potentially the more fun pick.
Obviously, to clarify the transfers that I've already made, because there was serious shifting of value for me last night. I've sold Rashford and Todd Cantwell. I've sold for Grealish and Mason Greenwood, and I've left myself 3.2 million in the bank at the moment in case I've made a very big mistake. And it allows me, with a 10-day break before Game Week 25, to assess, take stock of what's been a really extended period of Premier League football and decide what I want to do in February. It might be that I look even honestly towards Pereira's, Doherty's, throwing in a more expensive defender, or looking at throwing in a Mahrez, etc. I want to keep my options open now. Obviously, if I made a massive mistake with Greenwood, which I might have, if he doesn't play against Burnley, I'll instantly think I've made a mistake. Then I've got the 3.2 million to go straight to Raul Jimenez.
We've got a question coming in from Dr. FPL. Doctor, would you take a -4 to get Grealish in for Richarlison? Now, we know Richarlison's out. He could be out slightly longer term. Grealish's fixtures at home to Watford, who've been all right defensively, truth be told. But look, you're already going to get 2 points more than you're going to get off Richarlison. And Richarlison is, what, 8 million, 8.1 million. It's a lot of money to leave on the bench or not get anything out of. So even a clean sheet or any form of return and you're already quids in. Richarlison being out for a second game, I think I would probably make that move. I feel like it's worthy of a -4.
Yeah, I think go for it, actually.
And I've taken one hit all season. I'm very risk averse, but that's one that I don't think I'm risk averse.
The question is, when we always get these questions as well, it's not necessarily Grealish for Richarlison, isn't it? It's Grealish for who's your first sub.
Yeah.
Or your second sub if you think you've got doubts. Those are the questions you've got to ask yourself. So I think generally go for it.
Yeah. Steve Smith at Steve Cocky.
Is he?
I don't know. Was 9/11 an inside job?
Is that a real question?
That's the question. 9/11. Was it an inside job?
Yeah, of course it was.
I'm a fan of American politics, as regular listeners will know.
I really don't think it was an
Trust
inside
me,
job.
mate. It is possibly, definitely, maybe, from a political point of view, one of the most corrupt countries in the world. I don't trust anything that happens in that government, not even in the slightest.
I don't know how many Oasis songs you're going to get into this podcast today. It's becoming like a Who Got the Assist theme podcast. You're going all around the world with all your statements, mate.
Yeah. Well, that will give us a title for the show. There we go.
All around the world?
Maybe.
You got to spread the word. Tell them what you've heard.
Krill Roth. I hope I've pronounced it well. James, since you are very into tactics and analysing plays, and such, have you considered coaching in any minor league yourself? And if so, what kind of manager would you be most like tactically?
Oh, wow. I bet I'd be like George Graham, you know.
And if that's not a plug for the People's Poll this morning, then do listen back to the People's Poll. I tell you what.
I actually think I would be a safety first, actually, kind of.
Get the basics right, mate. Get the basics right.
Yeah, but that said, I mean, the way Liverpool play is how I think like most football supporters would want their team to play. Forget on the ball and stuff. It's the aggression off it. It's like,
do you know what? And
you can only not enjoy watching Liverpool at the moment if you hate them. And I'll be honest, we got loads of Liverpool followers. I don't like you, but I love watching you at the moment.
Yeah,
brilliant to watch. Do
you know what? I reckon that actually, if we were managing a team together, I think we'd do all right, because I quite like the man management side of just chatting to the players and getting them motivated, and you'd sort out the tactics. So between us, I reckon we'd have a shot. All I'm going to do, if I win the lottery, we'll buy a club, because we ain't getting a job, and we ain't doing this fucking UEFA Pro licenses. Forget spending 4 years learning about it. I've watched enough football to not care. We'll buy a club and appoint ourselves managers, and then we'll find out. I got a question. Why is Dean Garner trending on UK Twitter? Oh, he's back tonight for tonight's fixture. Nothing exciting there. I thought there might be it might be something to do with him being recalled potentially, or maybe even
that was a buzzkill.
Yeah, I thought it could have been a transfer.
We should say, talking a guy we've met at a few Planet FPL lives and other events. Our friend Aaron Boyle got his coaching badges very recently. Yeah, I think you'd be quite offended by saying that we wouldn't do our coaching badge. We appoint Aaron as manager when we buy.
And we'd just be, we'd be in the shadows. In the shadows.
What we buy in Enfield Town.
Enfield Town's a pretty decent club. I think it cost a few quid, mate. No.
But like Isthmian League, you can't afford Enfield Town.
Well, we'll see. We shall see.
Depends how much you win, doesn't it?
Yeah.
50 mil's enough, isn't it?
Edison Cavani is trending on Twitter because Manchester United apparently have put in a bid for Edison Cavani.
I could see that.
Ed Woodward is trying to.
The word on the street before was Atletico Madrid, but that's a fit. I'd like to see him short term at Spurs. I wish Spurs had got him around 2010, to be honest. Before when he was at Palermo, we were seriously linked to him. Good player, Cavani, like him. Very hit and miss. He lacks composure quite often in front of goal, but he's got the tools.
Can finish. FPL DGW, FPL underscore DGW, Double Gameweek, if you want to remember that handle. How are you? Hope you're well. Thank you for your question. In a double game week dominated by Liverpool players, are we overlooking the most informed player in Sergio Aguero right now?
What, for captaincy?
Maybe just getting him in potentially. I mean, he's still £12 million, so he's at the top end of the price bracket.
When you captain Sergio Aguero, is the question to ask captaining this week?
There was no captaincy in the question.
Are we overlooking him? Yeah, but I think it's one of them with Aguero. Like I said, it's him or Jesus. Like, you're punting with it every week. You can't feel any confidence in captaining him. I don't think. That said, I said to you last week, didn't I? If I owned on the final play, I said if I owned Aguero, I would 100% captain him against Palace, and I would have done it without fear. But most weeks, if you still owned him now, what are you doing for Tuesday night? He ain't starting tomorrow night, is he? I don't think. I think Jesus plays at Sheffield United, doesn't he?
Who knows?
And then what?
Who knows?
Then they've got FA Cup, Carabao Cups. You try and predict the order before they play in game week 25 against Tottenham. Sounds like a Jesus game to me again, to be honest. I would have thought, fixture-wise. Can't, mate. Can't.
At Bobby Love FPL. Bobby Love, how are you? Hope you're well. Thank you for your question. What combination of cheap rotating defenders could we look at going forward? I think this is an area where quite a few have now put their hand up, and we could be... Where it was a few weeks ago, probably a month and a half ago, it was so clear with Kelly and Rico. We've mentioned a number in this episode, already. Lascelles crops up. Brandon Williams crops up. I suppose at 4.5, you'd say Mason Holgate crops up. So there are quite a few at that price point that now have put their hand up. I mean...
Jaffet, my boy Jaffet.
Yeah, potential consideration there.
If you're wondering about, go back and listen to what I said about Ben Davies. Is really important.
The Sheffield United defenders are at 5 million. I mean, they're a little bit more, but they're still all a consideration, even though some have crept up in price. Max Aarons put a few good crosses in at the weekend.
Desperate, dirt cheap, man. Egan and Basham are still like 4.5, aren't they?
Yeah, that is cheap for Sheffield United defenders, in my opinion.
2 points between them. I think toss a coin. Doesn't really matter.
There are a lot out there at the moment, but I think ultimately the two that we've mentioned, I mean, Brandon Williams at 4. And Lascelles at 4.2.
Williams is 4.1 now.
Has he gone up to 4.1?
Yeah.
So 4.1 and 4.2 are still possibly at the cheaper end of what you could consider. I mean, if you really, really are mad and maverick, you mentioned Grant Hanley at 3.9.
If you're asking for combinations, the answer to your question is Lascelles plus a Sheffield United, and you won't even need the combination. Start looking at what your combination is with your midfielders, because quite often you end up picking both. Newcastle and Sheffield United both have extended decent runs of fixtures. So from a rotating point of view, I wouldn't even be looking at the rotate. Just get the two and then you can make weekly decisions. It's not even a long-term choice, I don't think.
And last question of the show goes to Adam at 35who. Gooners. I hope you're doing good, Adam.
Wanker.
Just because he's an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, he knows.
That is so hard.
He atted me today and he said, "You don't want me to come to any of the live shows, do you?"
Why?
Because, first time he was like, something happened. The second time was an odd. The third time, Manchester's too far. He can't get his pocket money or something.
Adam, I'll give you a lift up there, mate. If
That's
you
what
really
I said.
Want. We've got a car with
up.
4 spaces. Manchild is one. James is the other.
Do you think Adam and Manchild would get on? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think they would.
Yeah?
I really do. Adam, if you DM me, that's 4th space, first refusal. You've got until the end of January to confirm it before I sell it on...
yeah, and Adam, if you don't want that full space in the car, then, don't say that you don't want it.
Yeah. I'd rather just not know. Let's talk about his question. What happened to the mid-price midfielders? Aside from Grealish, it feels like they're all dropping off the map a little bit here. Is it better to drop down to Fleck and Traore to free up funds to bolster the defence? I mean, Traore is still mid-price at 5.8. Fleck's all right. Yeah.
Or go back to Jack Grealish if you're not on.
If you're not already on, I think Jack Grealish is a good shout. What you said earlier about Zaha being a troll, and now that a lot of people are coming off him firing in the next few weeks, wouldn't surprise me at all if he does.
Absolute
but there aren't
certainty.
many others.
Look, if we recommended Wilfred Zaha to anybody, we would be doing a real disservice here. All right. It's not on.
No.
It's just not on.
No.
Of course he's capable because he's got so much ability. And I love you really, Adam. Yeah, Jack Grealish will come down. Traore, Neto, Fleck. Campbell's still all right, his value. I just took a decision in terms of the way I wanted to manoeuvre. If I was going Greenwood, I was like, I've got to shove the funds. Norwich got really difficult fixtures. Okay, time to move on.
Yep. Yeah. I can't recommend anyone from my club, even though the likes of Snodgrass and Noble have been loosely mentioned. They're not going to be doing it at that price. There's plenty of better options. So there we go. Another episode 3,432,512 in the bag. Some might say, James, that this was our best episode ever.
Yeah, I don't think Tom and Nick will be guessing the mystery theme, which we never planned, but we seem to have dropped quite a few racist tunes.
Yes.
Rest of the week.
So,
tomorrow, Tottenham pre-midweek fixtures. We'll talk about this protest at West Ham that you think never happened.
I'm not saying it never happened. I didn't see it, and I don't think I don't think people give a toss.
10 years of Golden Sullivan.
Yeah.
I'd have a chat about Spurs and my mental state. Just fallen into basically falling out of love with football at the moment.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Sky Fantasy Football. We'll look at where we're at following the Tuesday night fixtures. What are the last minute decisions to dive into Liverpool before the Thursday night game? Thursday, Clash of the Correspondents. Planet FPL becomes Planet EFL for 1 week only. I've been desperate to try and find a situation where we could get Mark at FPL_Terrier, our Huddersfield correspondent, onto the podcast. We just haven't been able to make it happen this year. And obviously FA Cup this weekend, and I had a brainwave. I was like, I wonder when they play Fulham, we'll get him on with Dara. And sure enough, Fulham are playing Huddersfield, not this weekend, but one after in the Championship. So we're going to be talking a bit about how those two clubs have been doing since relegation. And I'll get the guys' opinion on Leeds, West Brom, Brentford, the front runners in the Championship at the moment. So we'll make it a bit of a Planet EFL podcast, if you will. And Friday, no final plan because no Premier League. So we will be pre-recording on Thursday, reviewing the first 9 games of Game Week 24. And there will be no talk of Liverpool.
Great.
That's it.
Let's just end with one Liverpool-based comment. Our Liverpool correspondent, FPL_local Lord Dan.
He's admitted the title race is over.
He hasn't yet. However,
he's lying.
Planet FPL Live 3 in Manchester is on Dan's birthday.
Oh, is it?
Yes. I was going to say on that day, if Liverpool win and they've won the next 4 games, surely on your birthday you have to admit, but they're playing on the Monday night, I think, on the 24th, from what I can see.
They're playing you.
Yes, so he won't get that opportunity.
You've got to play him twice in a month.
Well, technically it's 2 different months. One's January, one's February. But
it's inside 30 days.
It is inside 30 days. Look, we've all got to play them twice and get beaten by them twice this season, apart from Manchester United, who managed to scrape 1 draw from them. But they were good. James has broken down everything that's coming. Thank you so much for all the support, as always, for all of the shows. Do like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification bell, and all of that other stuff. If you do have any FPL playing friends, family, mini league people, and all the rest of it, do share the podcast with them, because even at West Ham at the weekend, there's plenty of people in and around me at halftime and stuff talking about the FPL teams, but they didn't listen to the flipping show. So we still have...
Oh, really? You go and talk to people and say, oh, yeah.
Nah. Well, once I've said to somebody, check out the podcast, mate, and that was it. Once I've never really done it. On the flip side, once I was in the pub pre-game and someone said, oh, there's Suj from Planet FPL. So,
that's banging.
Yeah, it'll happen. That more people need to know about us is the point that I'm trying to make here. So share it with all your FPL playing friends and family. Other than that, it's been a long Monday. Let's go home. Ciao for now.
Cue music, man child. Good luck, everyone.
The Fantasy Football Show.